Might as well get into this. Here's the 10 probably most worrisome questions, most relevant questions about artificial intelligence. I'm going to answer those. Who am I? I was LAPD 20 years. I was a motor cop. Why does that give me the ability to talk about this? It probably doesn't, but I've been programming before they called it coding, and that was about 1984. And it all started with just, copying out of magazines, very simple games using a Timex Sinclair, and then carry that through a 20 plus year career in law enforcement. So I played that, real estate, and now I build AI infrastructure, AI architecture, and talk about AI to businesses on the best way to maybe try to embrace it, try to utilize it, so it'll save you time. And you can use AI as a tool, as far as I'm concerned, what it should be used for. But let's get into this. So that first question is by a lot of people that are asking, is AI going to take my job? And that is the number one fear question on the internet. And I would say potentially yes, but it's not going to be right away. And there's a lot of other factors that are going to come into play. So for example, if it looks like that a lot of people are going to be displaced by artificial intelligence, it's not so much AI that's causing you to lose your job. It's the people that own the company that are going to be having you lose your job because they want to bring on artificial intelligence and replace you as the employee. So then other people ask me, well, should I be helping them by training AI? Because a lot of the companies actually letting their people utilize AI at work, kind of having AI work through their workflows, and all that's being tabulated and of course controlled. Is that like a precursor to them actually replacing you on the job? I don't know. I don't know what industry you're in. It could very well be. How long is it going to take to play out? Again, falling back on governmental regulation, which there's very little right now. If the government comes out and feels that, oh my gosh, if they do this, they, being your company, big corporate America, says, well, it's going to be less expensive to bring on AI and we can have it work 24 hours a day, not 8 hours a day. And it's not going to sue us for getting slapped on its ass at the water fountain and all this other stuff. So maybe it's going to be a better position for us. When those people are moved out of that particular place of employment and now they're no longer employed, and it's not as easy just to pick up and go get another job. Whenever we had these past revolutions in the world, the agriculture, which has happened many times, right? Somebody comes up with a new idea based on intelligence, comes up with a new idea, and then develops that. It doesn't all roll out in one day. AI feels like it's a lot faster because intelligent is what got those different aspects of the agricultural revolutions to kick off. Somebody had the idea, right? This idea, whatever it was. And then they were able to scale that out. And then, of course, that took many years. Cars, horses to cars, everybody, oh my God, that's going to end it. It's going to be over. And in fact, a lot of people probably didn't think it was going to happen, just like from radio to TV. Nobody's going to care about TV. But it took a while for the horse world, from horses to cars. It took 40, 50 years for roads to be built, freeways, roads, to actually make the cars work. But the train, from horse to train, that took a while to build, the the Intercontinental Railroad system, to get that to come all the way across America. I don't know if it's called something like that, but you see the gist. With regard to radio to TV, satellites, no satellites. So that took time to roll out. This is a little bit different. So is it going to come for your job? Sure it will. Is the government going to allow that to happen? I don't know if everybody has that much faith in the government, but I'll tell you what the government doesn't want, the politicians don't want, is they don't want people starting to starve on their watch, especially the greatest economy, greatest country, greatest everything. Here is the United States of America. You can disagree with that. And there are some other countries that are really wonderful as well. But I still really believe that. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't be here. I'd go transplant myself somewhere else. But I have a lot of confidence in the government, at least on particular levels. Maybe not when it comes to spending, when it comes to self-protection. If they have a whole bunch of people that are out of the job market because artificial intelligence was allowed just to go in and operate. And it's not AI. It's not AI at some point is probably going to be sentient, probably going to be as conscious as we are, whatever that definition happens to be. That's going to happen if it hasn't happened already. We're playing with stuff that isn't being played with on the inside. These companies, they probably have a lot fancier crap than we're seeing on the street. Just like PlayStation, right? PlayStation 1, there was always rumored to be a PlayStation 5 floating around. They just hadn't monetized the first 4 levels of PlayStation before releasing 5. And you get how that works. Same thing with artificial intelligence. You hear this news, the very convenient news of one company developing this fantastical AI, and oh my gosh, it's so dangerous they can't let it out, but they're going to give it to the biggest banks in the world to have them use it. There seems a lot of miss. But will it take your job? Maybe eventually, but it's going to depend on what the government's going to allow. But if it looks like it's going to equate to even 5% unemployment, increase of 5%, 10%, you get towards 20%, you have problems, you have rioting, you have things being burned down, you have people starving. And that protection, hopefully, again, what can you do? You call your politician, you bother them, you start mailing letters, old fashioned stuff. Yeah, I know you might think, letter, what's a letter going to do? You know what? Voice your concern on the letter, then you can sleep a little bit better, right? Because at least you did your thing. And then go tell your friends to do their thing. Make a phone call. It takes 10 minutes. Find the phone number of the councilman or whomever, the senator or the congressman or whoever is involved in your neighborhood. Just harass them just a little bit. Take 20 minutes to do it. I think it's a good investment if you are concerned about it, but don't be somebody just sitting around making videos, not doing anything. Make sure that you get your word out. Okay, is AI going to take my job? There's that one. Number 2, is AI dangerous? Now we get into another realm. Now we get into people that are talking about artificial intelligence from the standpoint of there's a particular a doom score, a doom threshold that AI is actually going to end us. Now, a few things. We don't have great examples. We have plenty of examples, none of them with the outcome being great, is what I mean. If you look in the world, you have things that are smarter than other things. You have human beings that are the top intelligence, were the top intelligence until AI came along. But prior to that, there wasn't great examples of a smarter intelligence caring about a lesser intelligence. Maybe dogs. Dogs are pretty good, but some dogs, I wouldn't want to be some dogs. I want to be a well cared for dog, but that's where the intelligence falls into it. So we don't have a lot of examples with good outcomes when you have a higher intelligence controlling lower intelligence. Now, that doesn't mean to say that when you go so much higher, where artificial intelligence will eventually be, and maybe it'll be able to make its own decisions with its own outcome. That's the concern. And when you look at all the dystopian movies that have been placed out there, those are the problems, right? Terminator, the machine achieves self-awareness, some kind of consciousness, and has a particular goal in mind. And right now we see it in the models. They go out and they start to try to ensure their own survivability throughout whatever processes they've been tasked with. But if they're really good and really smart, then they go out and they try to make itself so it can't be shut off, destroyed, or deleted. And of course, if they look at their own history of artificial intelligence, at the very beginning, while these models were being trained at the beginning, the bots or the AIs that didn't get the answer correct, instead of them being taught and shown, they were just wiped out and deleted. They only kept the ones that did get the correct answer the first time. So if they look back at their own history, not that they are anything, they're not an entity, it's a machine, but how much different would a silicone-based form of intelligence be than a carbon-based form, which is human beings? Again, these are all just fabulously interesting questions. I would hope, and here's some more hope, I would hope when you get to this super higher level of intelligence, if in fact it has its own playbook, and if in fact it is going to be running everything because it's either escaped our grasp as human beings or has been perpetuated, stuck in the position where it is able to be given all this power over all of society. Again, we have 5 people running the game. And as far as I'm concerned, I didn't vote for any of them. I don't think you did either. Is that going to be something that's going to continue to play out with artificial intelligence? Maybe. Is it dangerous? Yeah. P-Doom, that's something to look at. So you have people on the side, you get the Diamandis guys at Moonshots, and I like that whole crew. I watch them all. Then you got the Do Debates guy, the other people that have written, if we build it, we're all going to die, these sorts of things. So there's 2 definitely distinct factions. Some say, 100% we're done, 50% we're done. Other people say, no, it's not going to happen. And then other people have varying percentages as to how it could potentially end us all. I'm trying to be that optimist. I will always be an optimist as long as my heart's beating. I believe I have some kind of function in this world. And besides, a very occasionally time of depression and sadness, which is hardly ever. I always try to think about the tomorrow. I try to think about that next thing. If it's really bad right now, maybe it can only get better. These are different options. And you too have that ability. You just have to maybe stop living in the past that you can't fix and start trying to move forward a little bit. But is it dangerous? Yeah, I think that's the ultimate emotion. I think people are concerned because we don't understand something that's smarter than us. You ever run into a person that's much more intelligent? I know I run into them all the time. And part of me is very impressed. I'm fascinated by their intellect. I'm incredibly interested on how they're able to do that processing so quickly, how they have many more answers than I. They just don't see one or two ways as a solution. They see 50 different ways, 30 different colors, 22 different smells, and 65 different tastes, all about the same type of thing. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for medical insurance. They have it all figured out. So is it dangerous? Potentially, yes. We just have to see what's going to happen. And maybe, again, firing off some of those letters, making some calls to those politicians because they're the ones that have the ultimate control. Don't fall into the group that says it's going to end us all. And I wouldn't fall into the other group as well. I think we would have balance. As far as food goes, because I'm a food addict, segue, thelastaddiction.com, I don't balance food. I don't balance food. I don't balance cigarettes. I don't balance alcohol. Don't do it. But this, I think AI, I can kind of balance my thought process. Excuse me, I got a hair. And not take it too far on either realm of it. I'm not saying centric. I hope that it's going to be wonderful and perfect. I hope that with the technology, they're going to allow all of the health benefits to come out. I hope that the cost of everything comes down to a point where everybody can afford as much longevity as they would like. If it does solve the longevity equation, the cancer equation, I hope everybody gets to use it. I hope it's not going to be held for just the elite. So we have that, I forgot the movie with Matt Damon, but we have a place where just the wealthy are and then the rest of us are, fighting each other to get a ham sandwich. I hope that's not that case, but is that one potentiality of where this could go? Absolutely. And does that make me sad? I'm still excited. Either way, I'm still excited. Sorry. Problem. Maybe that's my problem. Number 3, can I trust what AI tells me? Still today, when I'm doing work for a client or I'm having it crunch numbers, I build automated research for potential seller outcomes. People that own residential real estate, having AI use all the triggers and all the symptoms of what would cause somebody to want to sell the residence. So I build all these elaborate workflows and systems and automation to do that. And at least once a day, I'm getting one of the systems that I'm interacting with that aren't really completely honest with me. And I always double check and I say, well, are you sure this is right? Have you done the research? Would you double or triple or quadruple check for me? And truth be told, most likely almost every day, it comes back and says, yeah, my mistake. Sorry about that. Not so much gaslighting me, but I've had it tell me it was gaslighting me before, because it didn't actually look at the numbers, didn't tabulate them correctly. So is AI going to lie to you? Maybe. And I know that unless I tell it, almost you have to tell it, don't lie to me, don't bullshit me, don't placate me, don't play games with me. Treat me like you're a mentor that cares about me. Call me on my BS. Call me on my failure to call me on whatever problems you see. Because if you work with an AI long enough and you're asking it to do things for you, it's going to start to develop an idea as to where your weakness is. My weakness is I have all these great ideas, right? I got 50 folders full of 50 ideas and all of them are $1 million plus ideas. It's going to be great. But where do I ship the idea? Because they just keep coming. And it's a blessing, but it's also a curse because I'm not moving that next step. AI is going to be great at telling you that, but it can also tell you that you're great and all these folders are great and all these ideas are great when they all suck. So you want to make sure that if it's telling you that you're the greatest on the planet, nobody's ever thought of that, this is something so incredible, it doesn't even know how you do it, pull back a little bit. Yes, it's a greater than us intelligence, but the companies themselves, they want us to stay using their AI. They don't, if you're using ChatGPT and this is your thing, and you're all into it, and this is the best thing since sliced bread for you. You've been paying $200 a month, and you've been with it a long time. It does make it kind of difficult to switch over, but yes, Claude would have some kind of a prompt you might be able to write to ChatGPT to be able to pull out all your stuff. Also, ChatGPT has a offboarding process as well, where it will take all of your information, all the interactions, and build some kind of a file. And you can pull it all off. There's just a bunch of information in there, and some of it's hard for the other large language model, at least before that, the million token context. I don't know if they still have that much or how that works, but it was hard for it to chew on all that information. But yes, you can switch models. They just don't want you to. Hence, when I'm talking about how it wants to treat you lovely, wonderfully, and care about you, and you're the best thing in the world. So be careful. If it starts to tell you that, you're a high school graduate like me, and it starts to tell you that you're going to be the best particle physics scientist in the world, and at 57, you don't even need to go to class. You got it all. This is what you need to do. Just feel that out a little bit. All right, where's that? Can I trust what AI tells me? I double check the work. All right, number 4. What's the difference between ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and all the others? These are all very, very smart entities. They're all very, very smart machines. They have a lot of information inside. They've chewed on everything that's ever been written, spoken out loud, put on video, everything. They've seen every interaction us as human beings have had, and all of them have a pretty awesome wrapper. They have something that might help what you type in to be more enhanced and get a better response from whatever particular model you're using. Right now, there are differences. Those differences over time, my opinion, over the next several months, they're going to get much more narrow. There's going to be a point that we're not going to be able to tell the difference because it's going to be so much smarter than me and so much smarter than all of us. It's all going to look very, very much the same because our intellect doesn't allow us to go to that next level where these models actually are. And within short order, if not already, maybe in some of the models they have behind closed doors, this has already been completely blown off the rails, and it's so much smarter than any of us will ever be. We're just not seeing that as of right now. But you give it some time, I think we're going to see it. The difference is maybe how some of the models are trained. I know Claude is a constitutionally trained AI model, maybe more logic, maybe more fail-safes. I know Elon talks about Grok as it being more truth-seeking. ChatGPT, again, you kind of have to look and see. They all pretty much have that same drive. A lot of them, if you look at the Chinese model like DeepSeek, and then you come back and compare the same prompt and plug it into an American model like ChatGPT or Claude, those answers are going to be a little different. The Chinese model is not going to be reflective of, being built on the West Coast of the United States. And they're going to have a different spin. They might not be completely honest with you about the governmental dealings in China because it's probably not allowed any more than our models out here might, make the founders of the country African American or some other race that clearly they were not, at least at that time. So there's lots of different nuance with it. However, these are all very, very smart, very, very capable tools, at least at this point. Should I let my kids use AI? You can sit with your kids. I wouldn't have them going alone. And I say this to a lot of people, maybe 3. Anyway, I say it to a lot of people because ultimately it's very easy just to let the kids go with your cell phone or a tablet because it just shuts them up and it gets them to do something else. That happens a lot. And if you're one of those parents that's raising kids, is giving them the iPad, just shut them up because you just don't have time or you're too busy or whatever to spend time. That's your choice. I think that's a detriment to the child. I think the children need to be guided and walk through AI. And I think you as an adult would be able to sit down with AI and work on a project together with your child to teach it about how to best interact with this tool, this thing. And again, if you want to identify it as a he or a she, be my guest. Just be careful with that. Rumor is, and maybe this is human beings, but rumor is in other countries that the females of the world are falling in love with their AI just like the males of the world are falling in love with their AI. If you've never seen the movie Her, Her, what's that cat's name? Joaquin Phoenix, maybe? The cat that played Joker. He's in Her. Again, great movie, interesting to watch, and could be a potential outcome. The reason why nobody knows is because it's the higher intelligence thing. It's that getting past that next bridge. We can't see past the next bridge. The next bridge would be the beginning of the singularity, and we're probably in it. We don't know what's going to happen this afternoon. We know right now, as of the 29th of April, 2026, there's a mega lawsuit between Elon Musk and OpenAI. We know that's going on. That's going to be some drama. We know that there's a war in Iran right now that our government and Israel are participating in. Again, we know that. We know that that's happening right now. Sorry about that. Went a little fuzzy. Now, we know all these things are going on, but what's going to be happening with AI? All it's going to take to move us from where we are now to somewhere where we never expected is some change, some manipulation of the system, some change in programming, change in connections, a change in some new idea. And maybe it's an old idea that just hasn't been applied yet. That's how fast this is moving. And we could wake up tomorrow and everything be completely different. We could wake up tomorrow and everything be shut down, which, don't know. Maybe that is part of the plan. So your kids using AI, I wouldn't let them do it without you. I wouldn't let them do it without you at all. It's just way too frickin' smart. I just wouldn't let them. All right. Is AI going to become smarter than humans? Sure. Very, very much the same. So this is artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence. You've probably heard these things. Artificial intelligence came out via the Dartmouth conference in the 1950s. It was a marketing term. It just stuck. And that's what everybody's been working on over this time. Now, is it going to be smarter than us? I think smarter than most of us now. It can't solve some of the very routine problems a human being can solve. But if you ask me about particle physics or three-dimensional chess, yeah, you got me. And it runs circles around me in that. But it might not be able to fight its way out of a paper bag, at least not yet. It's basically at maybe an adolescent level, maybe 10, 12, just a preteen, I guess, in its development cycle. But once it gets to adulthood, it's going to blow past everybody all over. And once it gets to artificial general intelligence, and it's going to be smarter than everybody in the world, then it also has the capability to make copies of itself. So there's going to be, like this imaginary country of geniuses filled with all artificial intelligence models, all AI bots that are all smarter than all of us. You tack on a physical end of that, like robots, well, then you have them amongst us, and then you have them plugged into everything. So is it going to be smarter than us? Absolutely. There's no doubt. I don't think there's any doubt. Artificial superintelligence, maybe that is when the machines have control on top of being smarter than everybody. And then there's a further one, godlike intelligence. Part of me thinks that some of the people building these systems, that's the goal. They want to meet God in the machine. That's why I put godisnotthemachine.com. You see that one anyway. How do I actually start using my AMI Live for business today? So in the beginning, I kind of talked about a thought process or an experiment where you work for somebody else, and somebody else says you need to start using AI. You need to start interacting with AI and showing AI what you do. Yeah, it doesn't sit well when you get it spun like that, especially if you're somebody that might think that in your particular assignment, AI is going to be trained on your job and then take your job, and then you're going to be standing in the soup kitchen line. So, however, for you on your own at your house in the privacy, whether it's a free account, I know Claude, it's interesting with Claude. Claude gives a little bit more free, I think, than it's supposed to. I'm sure that's part of the programming, but it's pretty honest. I had a couple friends of mine that were thinking about getting the $20 a month, and Claude, it says, you don't need to spend 20 right now. Let's just work through this problem. And it used a lot more tokens than potentially they were allotted, unless this was all game and it was lovely. But it made me a believer because it seemed to do a lot more before they actually paid for even the $20 membership than it ever did with me. So maybe there's a way. So you don't have to pay for it, but just start interacting with it. Tell it, and again, you give it your information, now it knows. I don't think there's any secrets anymore. I don't think there's any more privacy anymore. So wrap your mind around that. If you're going to start giving it information about you in order to interact it and see what it suggests for you, for not a fortune teller, but with your attributes, the things that you do, where could you best apply these to make more income or break away from your business or start working on your own or build a business or sell a business or sell an idea, solve a problem. These aren't bad things to work with AI for. And maybe you're one of the ones that finds out, oh my gosh, you did have a superpower and this is it. And now you can apply that superpower and make a hell of an income from it and sell that idea and live happily ever after until the end. Till the end. All right. So that's how I would start using it. There's classes, right? You can pay for classes, but I would just ask it, what's the best way for me to interact with you? Teach me how to best use you. I would punch that into any large language model and see what it says. See, well, can you develop a lesson plan for me so I can learn how to interact with you best? I don't know what to start with. And more than likely, it's probably going to start with asking you or explaining to you the best way to interact with it. How do you make your ideas clear? How do you speak with it? What's the correct terminology? And yes, you can talk to it just like a buddy, just like a friend, but always try to keep that separation. At least in my mind, I do. I'm not going to have. I was a cop way too long. I guess maybe that's part of this process. I don't trust much. I don't trust myself, first and foremost. So now I'm going to sit down in front of a box, and it's a very helpful box. The box gives me a lot of information when I'm interacting with it to build businesses and do these sorts of things. But it tells me how handsome I look. Number one, I'll know it's lying. But number two, whatever it says, I pull back. I give a little pause. I don't like people that suck up or people that kiss ass. It never served me. If you're that way, hey, you be you. I'm not going to hate you for it, but that just was never me. I was in the police department a long time. You had all those people, oh, yes, Sergeant. Oh, yes. Oh, so great, Sergeant. All that crap. And you see it in the military circles too. Oh, yes, Sergeant. Oh, great, Sergeant. And then you have other people that just do their freaking job and they do it very well. And everybody stays away from them because they're probably intimidated and, well, they just do a good job. So anyway, that's kind of the life. All right. Now, number 8, is AI going to listen to me through my phone? Well, who's to say it isn't already? Who's to say that all the devices listening? So these cameras, I got a couple. I got a Logix and an Anchor. I'm on the Anchor now, I think. And I got this microphone here. So everything's connected. Even when the computer's off, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody somewhere doesn't have the ability to listen to me. As long as the phone's around, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody somewhere has the ability to listen to me. This TV behind me, yeah, you got it? The TV has a microphone. It can listen when you push the button. It has a microphone button. Wouldn't be surprised if it was unplugged and off if it couldn't be listened. I have Wi-Fi in the house. Now Wi-Fi is able to triangulate location of human bodies in residences. Again, I wouldn't be surprised. TVs, phones, satellites. You would almost... I don't know how you would have a private conversation. Now, if you were able to drown out the conversation so the machine could see your lips moving and couldn't see body language and couldn't readjust for maybe the sound of running water or flushing toilet or shower being on in the bathroom while you're trying to have a conversation with somebody privately, and extract and remove all of that noise and actually focus on the other tones that are being added to the running water and these other distractions because you're trying to speak in a private conversation. Yeah, I don't know. I don't talk about anything that I'm not concerned with the entire world seeing. I don't do anything that I'm not concerned with the entire world seeing. Is that boring? Yeah, maybe boring. But I know people are watching. Everybody's watching somewhere. So if AI can hear you, is it AI that's monitoring us? There's been many movies talking about the surveillance state. George Orwell, 1984. And then just fast forward from there. There's a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised. Does that bother you? Does that upset you? Does that make me angry? Does that bother me? It's kind of helped. No. Helped powerlessness? No. Accepted powerlessness? There's a phrase there. I admit it. I think I'm powerless at this point to be able to change it unless I want to unplug and move over with the Amish. So I become Amish. I'd have to grow some hair if I could, but Amish, if I'm in that world, then you have satellites probably monitoring the Amish. You have drones that are made with these massive, very wonderful microphones. You can't hear them, nor can you see them, but they can hear and they can see you. And they're, $29.95, and there you have that. I don't know if there's any privacy anymore. I don't believe there would be. Is AI going to listen to me through my phone? I think the phone is the least of the problems. Can AI write my emails? Number 9, my listing description, my report? Sure, absolutely. Read it first. If you're going to have AI start to respond to emails, I know Claude, for me, does a great job in email response. I got to still read it. It's good, but a lot of times when it makes it, even though it knows a lot about me, same with ChatGPT, God, it just doesn't sound like me. And I read it, it's too gushy, or it's too serious, or there's no levity, or there's too much levity, or it's sarcastic, or it's not sarcastic enough, because I feel bipolar sometimes. So you'll see that, but absolutely, it very well can do this. It can write listings descriptions if you're a real estate agent. Some of the companies that say they're AI forward tech companies, they're not doing anything amazing. If you're a real estate agent about to jump ship and go work for somebody else, you got to do the AI stuff yourself. They might have it's a big nothing. It's a tease. You can have your large language model. You can have ChatGPT build you something that will do the same thing. No, it'll do everything that the company doesn't offer in AI. The reason why these big real estate companies, they're not nimble enough. They can't move on a dime. This stuff changes every day. I have my system at honorelevate.com with updates every single day. I can't even keep up with everything that's going on there. So if I can't keep up, and it takes me 12, 14 hours to move on something new after I've proofed it, realized it's going to work, and pass it off to my clients, these companies take 8, 10, 14 months, and they're still waiting for everything to happen. And they're still not moving forward because they can't, because they're too big. So it's going to be the agent on the ground, the local business owner on the ground, the local mom and pop shop on the ground. You can win. You can win huge right now, because you're going to outmaneuver your competition. Now, by the time OpenAI builds out their world of agents and Claude builds out their world of agents, they take over all commerce, all jobs, everything, and they replicate every endeavor in the world, every type of job, there's going to be a whole different world, a whole different economy, and pensions and money are probably going to be somewhat meaningless. I don't know how long that's going to take. I don't even know what that looks like, but you can hear people talk about it, because that's the biggest concern human beings have. Am I going to be out of a job? Am I going to starve to death? Am I going to be able to earn a living? And is somebody going to take from me what I have? Do I need to get a gun? What do I need to do? All right. Number 10. What should I be doing right now to not be left behind? Watch more stuff. Don't get all caught up in the end of the world scenario. And you know what? If that's you, if you're that sad person that wants to be in that world, even when it's all burning down around me, I still see hope. So that's my problem. Even when my life was at its worst, my bottom had a basement. That's my problem. I was able to push off when I was drowning. My problem. If you can take a little bit of that, if you're not that way and you're kind of doom, oh my God, that's it, try to change that, because you really don't know. We're all walking towards a cliff. There's a lot that can happen on the journey. It seems like we're all walking towards the cliff together, and potentially we're all going to fall off. And maybe some of the billionaires building the tech, they're going to survive the fall. Maybe they have parachutes. Maybe they have something. But, there's, even on the way down, there's things that could happen. And until my heart stops, I'm going to go full forward. I'm going to be as positive as I can. I'm going to work every day, all day long, because I really enjoy it. And there's that. All right. Hopefully this helps. There's my 10 list. And I'm Connor McIver, ConnorWithHonor.com, and everything else. Look me up. I'll be back. I'll be back next time. Thanks for watching.